Hello and welcome back to Popcorn Saga. Don't forget to follow us on all the social networks, Twitter and Facebook at The Popcorn Saga and on Instagram at Popcorn_Saga. And find our podcast wherever you get podcasts. On this episode, it's the re-release of the rewatch of The Incredible Hulk with Betty Ross and Ed Norton. I don't even think it's the worst one.
Everybody, and welcome to Popcorn Saga. I'm Betty Ross, and I keep this tone of voice through the entire movie, even when I'm not happy. Joining me in this review of the MCU is James and Tiff. How are you guys?
I'm afraid right now. That's a scary voice. It's like the creepy old lady who beckoned you into her house. Like, no.
That's Betty Ross. Anyway, so they go straight into the experiment montage, which was a bit of a head what's it. I feel like
there was a ton of stuff in there and expect you to get it straight away, didn't they?
Yeah, it was kind of intense. A lot to take in. I'd like to see it play out, but I guess there was a Hulk movie not long before this, so maybe they just assumed everyone knew.
I believe there was a Banner one not too long before this.
Yeah, I was just like, what? I want to watch that. Okay, it's done. At Culver University in Virginia, General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross meets with Dr. Bruce Banner, the college boyfriend of his daughter Betty. So I'm guessing this is what happens, but we just see it really quickly. Regarding an experiment that Ross claims is meant to make humans immune to gamma radiation. The experiment, part of a World War II era super soldier program, Captain America, program that Ross hopes to recreate, fails, and the exposure to gamma radiation causes Banner to transform into Hulk for brief periods of time whenever his heart rises above 200 beats per minute. The Hulk destroys the lab, the surrounding area, killing several people inside and injuring General and Betty, along with the other outside. Banner becomes a fugitive from the US military, and Ross in particular, who wants to weaponize the Hulk. I didn't get any of that from that montage.
This was all in like 2 minutes. That's the worst thing. You don't.
It's all too quick. Yeah. It's all too fast and too quick.
I got more from reading
flashing.
that.
It's like you're trying to remember it after a drunken night, and it's all just flashes.
Yeah.
And you see images of like Stark Industries and a thing saying Green Sasquatch. But yeah, I got more from reading that out than I did actually watching it. Anyway, so it's 5 years later, apparently, and Banner works at a bottling factory in Rochina, Rio de Janeiro, while searching for a cure for his condition. And nice little change of scenery, I thought. Rio looks like a beautiful place, even like the crappy bit of it up the mountains. And it felt weird to see Ed Norton for the first time.
Yeah, it was a bit weird compared, because obviously what we're used to as well, isn't it? And you forget where it all came from. It was meant to have, anyway.
Yeah.
He is learning yoga techniques to help keep control and has not transformed in 5 months. He does the weird belly exercises for breathing. He's controlling the Hulk. He gets slapped in the face, which reminded me a bit of Fight Club. Maybe that was on purpose. But I did like the way he plays it, like he's all jumpy, and he makes you feel like the Hulk could come out at any time, and it
makes you feel like he's afraid of it, which is kind of good, because that is, the original kind of thing about him is that he's kind of afraid of the Hulk, really, isn't he? And afraid of what he can do when he's the Hulk.
Yeah, Ed Norton does it well. You just feel like at any second something could trigger it, and it sort of gives you a feeling of what he's been through the last 5 years. Right, after Banner cuts his finger and a drop of his blood falls into a bottle. I don't know, it felt a bit out of character, but he tries to protect that woman. It's like maybe they needed to add a hero complex, because he's a superhero. Basically. But I don't feel like Bruce Banner would have done that anyway. And then the funny...
No, you just needed some kind of motivation for him, didn't you? You needed a female interest, I suppose.
Yeah, but he'd stay away from a fight because he doesn't want to turn into
That's exactly what...
So it just... Yeah.
And then there's the funny line where he says, "You wouldn't like me when I'm hungry." That made me laugh. I forgot about that.
That was funny, yeah.
And then on the internet, he's anonymously collaborating with a colleague known as Mr. Blue. Oh, that's it. What's he making? He's got.
He's trying to make like a way to obviously rid his blood cells of the gamma.
Yeah.
So he's trying to like different random flowers and stuff. Didn't he do? He got a flower delivered to
Yeah,
him very
the
early on.
flower looked like an onion. That's what I've written. Yep, that is deep analysis. Onion flower. And he sends the blood sample to Mr. Blue using the Royal Mail, I guess, because it got there no problem.
And then he changed his mind very quickly. Like, oh no, I can't send you it. It's too dangerous. Oh no, 5 minutes later, there you go. I'm just going to send you all of my blood.
Yeah, here's all my onion flower blood. The blood in the bottle is eventually ingested by an elderly consumer, Stan Lee in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, giving him gamma sickness. Using the bottle to track down Banner, Ross sends a special forces team led by Emil Blonsky to capture him. I felt like I liked Blonsky, but his name sucks.
Yeah.
Blonsky.
Yeah, it doesn't really roll off the tongue, does it?
Yeah. And like, he's half English and half something else, isn't he?
Yeah, that really didn't work. Like, I don't know what he actually is in terms of what the original character is or anything, but it felt like a kind of weird mix between Tim Roth just trying to do a bit of a Eastern European drawl on it as well. And
Well, to me, he just sounded English, but they said when they introduced him, they're like, oh yeah, he was born in Russia, but raised in England, and I was like, what?
Yeah, I just heard an English dude from like Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Anyway, Banner
he's very small, wasn't he?
Yeah, Banner desperately wants a cure, and then a dog gets shot, so there's Tiff's MVP right there.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah.
And then another dog gets shot, and the chase is on. I like the chasing quite a lot, actually. It builds well to what happens next. Like everything.
But Tiff pointed out while we were watching it, what is it you say? That literally, all of a sudden, they started chasing in daylight, and then all of a sudden it was night. Like, how long had that chase been
Really?
going?
Yeah, I was like, how long has this chase been going on? Yeah,
didn't notice
when
that.
they first start chasing, it's broad daylight, and then by the end, it's pitch black. And you think, oh, hold on, this has been going on for hours?
Like multiple
What the
hours.
fuck?
I
Is this a fucking marathon or what?
I didn't notice that. Oh, God. Mo Farah, eat your heart
That's
out.
not bad.
So everyone is closing in on him. Banner transforms into the Hulk and defeats Blansky's team and the Thugs. It felt a bit like a monster movie. Up to this point, I was really quite liking
Yeah,
this
they
film.
tried to do the whole thing of, we're going to try and hide him and hide what he is and all this kind of thing, kind of get you invested. And it's kind of like, we'll go and see it. And the payoff just wasn't worth it.
And then,
Like, they built it all up to the final reveal and it just, fell flat.
and then Hulk talks. He says, "Leave me alone." Which
Terrible haircut as well. Like, where does he get that from? Whose idea was it to put that on?
absolute bowl haircut. Yeah.
Yes.
But I like, despite obviously a few CG problems, I quite actually liked not 100% how he looked. I thought he was too green, like a different shade. But he is like a beast and scary and unstoppable, like Hulk should be. Like a complete contrast to Banner. So I did like that he was a big, scary motherfucker. We get Banner trying to get home. He's slumming it hard in Mexico and he buys stretchy pants. Yeah. After Ross explains...
Just to the purple one.
And that was a bit ridiculous, because how do they stay up when he's Banner?
Well, he hasn't got the purple ones yet, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's got a belt.
Yeah, see?
After Ross...
He turned down the purple ones when he was at the market. I thought it was funny.
Oh, yeah, he does it. Yeah, okay, yeah. After Ross explains how Banner become the Hulk, he says about how his whole body is property of the US Army. So, yeah. I quite liked Ross.
He was interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then this is when this film got fucking weird for me. Banner returns to Culver University and reunites with Betty. In just 2 weeks, like, he's back. Looks fine. And then I kept noticing, I never noticed this in movies, the background music didn't suit, really overdramatic, and it just kept overtaking, like, my concentration. Like, just that weird, soppy
I
background
didn't notice
music.
that, actually.
Well, no, it did kind of fall flat though, didn't it? Like the whole moment was kind of like they've been around and been away from each other and stuff, and it felt like they were trying to put that in there, but it didn't. It fell flat because you knew nothing about the relationship and how close they were and stuff. They'd done little to actually get you invested in that payoff.
Over that part.
Yeah, and they covered it in like a montage in like opening 2 minutes of the film.
I just felt like the music didn't fit, and I just kept hearing it. I don't know, I never noticed that. And then Banner is subtle but resourceful, no gimmicks, genius, like sort of really smart, but the opposite to Tony Stark. It just, yeah. Then we see original Hulk, the security guy.
Yeah, Lou Ferrigno, that was good. I like that.
That was a cool cameo, yeah.
Yeah, that was funny.
And the movie slows down a bit, and he's talking to Mr. Blue again. And then Betty sees him, and I was like, more dramatic music. It feels like The Notebook. Like, it just didn't fit. It turned into some weird love story. Like, I know they're in love, but it just didn't seem to fit. It was like, and then the hug in the rain feels more like I'm watching The Notebook. And then Betty has the gamma data he's looking for, and Betty Ross hasn't spoken to her dad for a few years. In a monotone tone of voice, Daddy. And then I keep noticing the music really dragging now with the love stuff. Like, it was just a really long love montage with. It just didn't fit. It was like this big.
And also, she's sitting in there with her. It's her boyfriend, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
fiance, or
proper
whatever it is.
bings
And she
him
just
off, mate.
gets up and walks off, and he's just like, okay, bye. You know,
And
there's
he's-
no explanation, no nothing.
And when
She's just off.
when he's being questioned later on, he sticks up for her as well. Like, he's been proper mugged off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
I just felt I was watching this cool like superhero / monster movie, like in Ed Norton, and then they just dropped this Notebook shit in the middle of it. It's weird. Blonsky agrees to be injected with a small amount of a similar serum, which gives him enhanced speed, strength, and agility, with massive needles. It's a bit.
Well, didn't he push for it? Wasn't he like, oh, I want to do it, kind of thing? Like, wasn't that like?
Well, he
I
was
feel like
saying-
they didn't actually build anything from him wanting to
No,
be it. Or
one
anything.
thing I did notice he says he's obviously getting on a bit, but he said if he could have the body when he was younger with what he knows now. So you're saying like, and you could tell he was like, he was impressed with the Hulk. So and then that obviously gave Ross the idea. Then he had that really backyard medical centre compared to Captain America's experience, even like 60, 70 years later. Banner is attacked a second time by Ross and Blonsky's forces. Blonsky's really quick now, he's running.
Yeah. I mean, that looks really, even like, obviously it is what, like 10, 11 years ago, where it was originally released, but that looks so bad. Like, when he's on a rolling road there to make it technically work, but he looked like he was running above the ground the whole time, and I really didn't like that shot, because it just looked like he was running above the ground and just running his feet in the air. Like, he was so subtle.
Jesus Christ, Blonsky. Walking on.
Yeah.
The tear gas and the soldiers holding Betty cause him again to transform into Hulk. The ensuing battle outside the university proves futile for Ross's forces and they retreat. Lo Blonsky, whose sanity is faltering, attacks and mocks the Hulk. And I quite like the running shoulder charging in the Jeep. That was cool. That felt a bit Jurassic Parky. Can't work out if the Hulk CG is any good or not. So I was looking at it trying to say, is that bad or is that good? And then I just kept noticing his hair.
Yeah, I was a bit like that. And the colour, like you said earlier, like it was the wrong shade of green, I felt.
Yeah, and that's it. There's a soldier standing behind Betty with a bloody nose after she'd elbowed him. So they just, I don't know, nice. I don't know why I've written nice touch. It means nothing. But Hulk is terrifying in the best way, and the Soundwave gun is no match for him when he picks up the doors. As the Hulk, even though I couldn't figure out the CG and the colour, I just liked how he was represented. He was like BMF. The Hulk severely injures Blonsky when he kicks him into that tree. That was brutal, mate. That was
ultimate brutal. Like,
yeah, I did.
He was flipping.
That was good.
Like, whoa!
That was really good. Then he takes out the helicopter, saves Betty from the fire and the bullets. Then he flees with Betty. That's it. Betty's new ex-boyfriend doesn't grass them up to her dad. So
But how did he know? Was he there? Like that, I feel like he disappeared after the pizza shop, and then
That's
we
what I
didn't see
mean.
him until he was shopping them and giving them up.
Yeah, so you think...
How does that happen? Like, it just felt like it was a big gap in story where this character's obviously quite called, obviously Thunderbolt Ross told him everything they need to know, and that's why they've jumped on him. That's how they know where he is. But had he even met him at any point during the entire film so far?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like it did.
yeah, it's just maybe she just didn't need a boyfriend. Maybe she could have been having pizza on her own.
Yeah, and then they just needed somehow to make certain things click or something.
Yeah, they thought,
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I don't think he was needed.
we need to show where that boyfriend is now, and it just didn't work. Right, after the Hulk reverts to Banner, he and Betty go on the run. And I've written, a wet, fake-looking extra green Hulk gets the ump with lightning and throws a rocket
that
it.
was such like video game graphics.
Yeah.
Like, that was really bad.
And they have
Yeah, it was.
the King Kong moment in the cave. Every bone in Blonsky's body is broken, but he's alive. He looks proper fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Banner is
Still
all...
me, motherfucker. Only.
Yeah.
Like, you
Yeah.
just saw when he was there, he was like moving his fingers and stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Banner is all shaky and weak, having flashbacks of gunfire. The Hulk stuff is really messing with his head. I quite like that as well, that they were quite separated still. And yeah, they did that well, how he just wanted to separate himself from that. He throws up the USB that he swallowed. Says no to the purple stretchy pants. Gets his Hulk name on the news. Yeah, some boy says, oh, it was like a green Hulk or something, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then
it was really throwaway of how he got his name.
Yeah. And then him and Betty get a bit fruity and they kiss. His heart rate's going up and she's like, can't you get a little bit excited? It's like, well, what are you? Can I have a big green Hulk penis? Just like, big green Hulk veiny penis is what she wanted. Anyway. Nasty. Come on, Bruce, just a little bit. Blonsky is better really quickly. His healing abilities work well. Liv Tyler's voice is draining. This is all the stuff I wrote during watching it.
Yeah.
Shield her on the case. They track Mr. Blue. Capital letters. Liv Tyler has the same tone for every emotion.
Oh, that little moment though, it actually made me laugh. It was probably one of the few in the whole film. But when they're in the taxi and they come out and the driver's driving all erratically and they're all worried about his heart rate while he's in the back of the taxi.
Oh yeah.
That's funny.
And she says to him, "Calm down."
And she's like, "What? What is it? Something really sexist that we couldn't say it in any film nowadays." It was something like, "What is it? Oh yeah, I thought you liked a good ride," or something like that. Like you'd never get away with that. It was just funny. Made me laugh.
Yeah.
I've got
that was a funny little moment.
Crazy taxi driver, and I don't know if this is the right bit, but there's a moment as well when they're in New York and he tells her to calm down and she's like, you zip it. But even then when she was getting the she was still like this. Oh, Bruce. Banner contacts Mr. Blue, who urges them to meet him in New York City. Mr. Blue is actually cellular biologist Dr. Samuel Stearns, who tells Banner he has developed a possible antidote to Banner's condition. Blonsky is starting to deform and is going a bit mental. Yeah, this Dr. Samuel, Mr. Blue, I remember when I first ever watched it, I was expecting it to be someone of like actual significance or trying to stitch him up. And
you'd hope, wouldn't you? Because they kind of didn't give you anything to run off, literally just Mr. Blue. Like, it was from the moment you started the film as well, because he was talking while he was in Rio and stuff there.
Well, I was expecting it to be like S.H.I.E.L.D. or something like that, because I'd honestly forgotten who Mr. Blue was. And it was so underwhelming.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, after a successful test, I said the FX are... Oh, that is it, when they're injecting him and he's on the table and stuff. I said the FX are okay, but looked old, if you know what I mean. So I guess maybe at the time they were okay. General Ross is closing in. He warns Banner that the antidote may only reverse each individual transformation. Stearns reveal he has synthesized Banner's blood samples, which Banner sent from Brazil, into a large supply with the intention of applying its limitless potential to medicine.
How quick did he do that, though?
Yeah, there was loads of it.
Literally in the space of, obviously, an hour, well, maybe an hour of the film, but maybe a week. He's got this whole, 8 whole cages full of blood.
Yeah, because...
It just seemed a bit far-fetched, really.
It
went from a little MIT school thing in America to then being this high-tech lab thing all of a sudden. No, it just really didn't work. None of it. It just really looked strange, moving from one to the other.
Yeah. And fearful of the Hulk's power falling into military's hands, Banner wishes to destroy the blood supply. So yeah, he still wants to destroy it. He still wants to stop the Hulk. So at least that's consistent. A recovered Blonsky joins Ross's forces for a third attempt to take Banner into custody. They succeed, and Banner and Betty are taken away in a helicopter, not before Blonsky slaps Bruce about. Mr. Blue screams when he sees the dart. LOL. Who got darted? Oh, Bruce did, didn't he? He got darted in the
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Betty, with the same tone of emotion as every scene, tells her dad that she's not his daughter. Blonsky stays behind and orders Stearns to inject him with Banner's blood as he covets the Hulk's power. The experiment mutates Blonsky into Abomination, a creature with the size and strength surpassing that of the Hulk. He attacks Stern, who gets some of Banner's blood in a cut on his forehead, causing him to begin mutating as well. In his new monstrous form, Blonsky rampages through Harlem. Yeah, he got the blood in his head. Was there any follow-up to that?
Yeah. No.
Was there any what?
Follow-up to that.
No, nothing at all. It was completely throwaway. That's kind of another annoying
His head
part
just
about
started
the film.
bubbling like cheese on like lasagna.
And then they tried to tie it in, and then obviously have things that they could build from, like you say, didn't they? And then obviously now, in hindsight, you see that nothing has come from it.
You know, nothing's come
He
from
was
it.
obviously meant to be something else. He was kind of going to be, I don't know, maybe like the polar opposite of him, but still the same, like the close villain that's like the hero, and then they go up in the sequel and stuff like that. It felt like they were trying to build that.
Maybe nothing happens. Maybe his head just bubbles for a bit, and then he gets a bit sick.
But it's a plot point, like Mr.
Or it just froze up, and then it's just gone. Yeah.
Mr.
It just froze up a shit ton of green and purple stuff.
Yeah.
But Mr. Blues through like the whole film, and then he gets like a weird cheese on toast head, and that's it, done.
Cheese on toast.
And then it's back to feeling like a monster movie. I thought it was pretty cool. Abomination is ugly. He's an abomination. Catches the rocket. Who catches the rocket? Abomination.
Yeah, they fire on him because they're chasing him through the streets on the army like jeep thing and shooting at him and stuff, and then they pull out a rocket out of the back that was Stark Industries on the back.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
And then they fired it at him, and he just caught it and bit it.
And then realising that the Hulk is the only one who can stop Blonsky, Banner convinces Ross to release him. We made this thing, all of us, so they found some common ground. He jumps from Ross's helicopter and transforms after hitting the ground. I quite like this bit. I remember it from the first time as well. It obviously hit the ground, but
It's kind of a way for him to turn and to become that hero. That was the redemption moment kind of thing. I think that's what they were trying to put in there. Was just the moment where you realise, okay, I can be bad. Well, sorry, I have done bad, but I can be good kind of thing. It was trying to. It felt like they were throwing a whole arc into one film and they condensed it all down.
See, I kind of disagree. I didn't really like that moment. I would have preferred him to change, like, just as he hit the ground and do, like, a superhero landing, like, as Hulk. I think that would have been, like, more sick.
Superhero landing!
I quite like the classic fist through the floor, but
yeah.
And then you got the police car boxing gloves. That was cool. Kicks him through a building. Help the green one, damn it, says Ross. And then he claps the fire away.
They're both green though, so I don't get that.
No, the Abomination weren't green.
Was he green or was he grey?
It was like a grey type colour, I think.
Yeah, and then he claps the fire away. I don't know how that worked. Remember?
It's just one of the things he's always had is his thunderclap thing.
So there's a big thunderclap. So that's vintage Hulk. And then any last words? Hulk smash.
Yeah,
he didn't quite say it like that.
In there just because really that was so not needed really.
It wasn't, and especially I don't think it suited Banner.
It's the first thing he probably says, really, doesn't it? Like when he's Hulk, it's the first real words he vocalises.
I thought that's all Hulk could say. I didn't know.
Yeah, it was fan service, really, wasn't it?
It was attempt at fan service,
yeah.
After a battle throughout Harlem, the Hulk defeats Blonsky by nearly strangling him to death with a chain, but spares his life upon hearing Betty's plea and leaves Blonsky for Ross and his forces to arrest. It was quite brutal, but I thought it worked. Choked the life out of him.
Showed him as being strong and
What the hell are they going to do with him now, though? That Abomination. I mean,
he didn't turn back into Tim Roth, did he? Like he didn't. Sorry, Blonsky. He didn't turn back into Blonsky, so he's just got this big thing. He's going to tie up and chain up in the basement.
Yeah.
After having a peaceful moment with Betty, Hulk flees New York. The helicopter comes and chases him away. He'll always be running away. A month later, Banner is in Bella Coola, British Columbia. Instead of suppressing his transformation, he begins to transform into a controlled manner with a slight smirk. Loved that moment. He's back where he started, but he's no longer fighting it. He's embraced it. Yeah, I thought that was quite a cool last moment to see him, that he's finally accepted that he's Hulk.
Yeah, it was a good edit like that. It works well when you see him, as you say, trying to do the whole meditation thing, trying to chill and work it out, and then you see that he's learning to control it.
Yeah.
And he's realising it's a part of him, kind of thing. That's kind of that's what I got from the ending sequence, anyway.
And then Tony Stark approaches General Ross at a local bar and informs him that a team is being put together. So this film is canon. Right, before we get on to MVPs and the other bits, what happened with Norton and Marvel, and why was he never Hulk again?
Okay, so, I mean, there's a few things I looked into it a bit further. I mean, the obvious kind of answer is that Ed Norton is a notorious dick. Not
really?
many people like him. Yeah, he's a bit kind of. He wants to get very involved, like directorially, and wants to change his lines and stuff. And that's kind of what he did within this film. But that makes sense because he wants a character development kind of thing going for it. And I think the biggest thing was that obviously they're building towards having the Avengers thing, and putting him in the team environment of other people, trying to make sure that he stands out more than them potentially wouldn't work. So they released a statement before Avengers was released anyway, saying that we want somebody that's going to stay close to the source material, and we want them to do the team and stuff. I'd have to look it up to see what it was, but essentially it was saying that it didn't really work, and they didn't want to have him back in that environment kind of thing.
They
didn't think he would get along with everybody else.
Too big for his boots, basically. He kept trying to tell them what to write for him, what his lines should be, where he should be shot, and all this kind of thing. He's a diva, and he actually does that in another film as well. It's Birdman with Michael Keaton. He basically plays a very jumped up diva actor, and there's lots of rumours that that's quite like what he actually is.
Cool, because I was just thinking, I put it in my review, but I'll say it now. It's just, I wish I would have got Ed Norton and Robert Downey Jr. scenes in those Avengers movies. I think he's such a good Banner, but it is what it is, I suppose. Right.
But that's the thing, they wanted the Hulk, not the Banner. I think that's kind of the main point of it. They wanted a Hulk actor rather than a Banner character development thing.
Yeah, cool. MVPs. I'll start with Tiff.
MVP. Do you know what? Even today, I said to James, I actually don't have one. But going through it, I think it's going to have to be, is it Ross? General Ross?
Yeah.
I really liked him, even though he's a dick, but I think he played the character really well. And I think, as you say, in the end scenes where he sort of they come to sort of like a mutual respect, and he obviously lets Banner go and save the day, so kind of redeems himself a little bit. And I just think he was just quite badass, and he just didn't give a shit, even about his own daughter, even though she's very monotone. But yeah,
all right.
I just thought he was cool.
Review.
Do you know what? I liked it, but it just didn't really feel like a Marvel film. It didn't really feel like a comic book hero film. It felt more like a military sort of action drama film with a bit of comic book thrown in. And as you say, it felt a bit like a rom-com at certain points with the whole Betty and him situation. So it's okay, but I didn't really enjoy what's his name? Ed Norton as Banner. I didn't think he was that great. I prefer Mark Ruffalo, if I'm honest. And yeah, I don't think I'll watch that film again.
Okay, cool. And popcorn rating.
Popcorn. I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay.
Which is meh.
Yeah, that's cool. And James, MVP review and popcorns.
MVP, as Tiff says, is actually quite hard to pick somebody who you actually like within this film. Not as in as their performance and stuff like that, but there's lots of things about all of them that kind of don't really work in their own ways. I joked with Tiff when we were watching it that Tony Stark was going to be my MVP just because at the end that made it more interesting. But yeah, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get shouted at by Mike. Doing something really random and picking my MVP. I'm going to go very obvious, and I am going to go Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross because he is good, and as you say, he plays the villain very well. He makes you not like him. He makes you not understand his decisions, but then towards the end he kind of comes towards a redemption and kind of thing. He actually has a defined role and arc in that film, whereas obviously Edward Norton, he plays the character very well, but I feel like they covered maybe what they could have done in maybe 3 films in one. They could have done the whole Rio thing as one film. They could have done the reunion of him and Betty Ross as one film, and they could have done the 3rd film of what happened after that with the Abomination and stuff, and they could have actually developed these characters properly. But it felt like they tried to do everything in one film, and it didn't feel like a Marvel film, and I think that's probably the biggest reason why people get into arguments over whether it is or isn't canon, because it is released under the Universal bracket and it is released with them, so it feels like a Universal film, and it feels like when you start it, you hear the Universal music kicking in and you're like, wait, I'm in the cinema. you don't go, oh, I'm watching Marvel. I'm going to watch a film. It's a very big distinction from the start that it's not quite a Marvel film. And yeah, it doesn't really work that well, but yeah.
Cool. So how many popcorns?
Popcorns, I'd say 3. It is a bad film. It's not good. The CG is really bad in places. In some places it looks decent. It's not bad. But as I say, the bit where they were in the cave and it was raining, so it just looked like a video game. It looked like they were stuck in hard rain or something, and some really cartoony kind of video game to try and make it look aesthetically pleasing, and it just didn't work. And yeah, as you say, they kind of bumbled through some things and covered things up really, really quickly and ran through the story on some things, and then they let other things burn that really could have been sorted out in a much quicker fashion. And I don't think the one really thing that annoyed me as well was that they didn't actually name what the cure that Mr. Blue had was. I don't remember the name of what it was. I don't think they mentioned it at any point, and it really just quite annoyed me that they didn't actually tell you what he was curing him with and stuff, and it just felt like they wanted you to fill in the gaps more than anything, and it didn't work. So yeah, 3, it's bad.
Cool. Right, so that's the first time we've had a double MVP, so you both went for Thunderbolt. My MVP is Blonsky. I just felt he had the least confusing arc. He was obviously in the film maybe a bit more than Ross, and he became the made bad guy. I liked how he wanted the power and stuff. It was just simple, and yeah, I was thinking of giving it to Banner and Hulk, but then I couldn't. There was such separate characters. I couldn't give it to him as one. And then Banner I liked, and apart from the love story, so I couldn't give it to him. And I liked the way they portrayed the Hulk, but his hair was so bad he doesn't deserve MVP. So it's Blonsky. It was a mixed bag, really. It started off quite well, I think, the way they built to the Hulk and the reveal, and it felt like quite a good monster movie, and he's on the run and stuff. But then the weird notebook stuff turned me off, and I kept noticing the music. I get Banner and Betty are in love, but it just didn't fit. I liked how intense and scary the Hulk was, and how they portrayed him, how powerful and unstoppable he is. I liked Blonsky, simple but effective as the bad guy, and he wanted more power. Dragged a bit in the middle. Again, Liv Tyler wasn't great, so boring. Special effects issues. I like the final battle with the 2 big mofos, but I quite like monster movies anyway, maybe die. But knowing where we know the Hulk goes from here, and obviously the big changes, it feels like Banner doesn't fit in the bigger. This Banner doesn't fit in the bigger picture. His relationship with Betty is a massive part of the film, and it goes nowhere after this. And the same with the other guys in it with Betty's dad. I wish we could have got an Ed Norton and Robert Downey Jr. scene in the Avengers. I would have loved that. It is part of the canon, but it feels like the MCU stepbrother. Everyone judges him until they give him the time of day, and he's actually okay. He's not coming over for Christmas, but he'll always say hello. So I'm going to give this movie a 4.5. It's okay. It is a bit meh. I was going to go a bit higher, but going through it, I've actually brought it down. So between meh and okay, because it didn't annoy me or bore me like Iron Man 2 did, but it's just there's more I don't like than I do like. I liked Norton. I liked how the Hulk was portrayed, but he looked crap. I didn't like the love story, and like you say, it didn't feel like a Marvel movie, but it was. So yeah, it's 4.5.
So mine was a 3 plus a 4.5 plus, what did you go, Tiff?
4.
4.
What does that give us?
5 divided by 3 is 3.83, so it's
a 4. Okay, so there you go. The Hulk gets 4 popcorns. Not so incredible. So yeah, it's weird because obviously the Hulk's only in all the Avengers movies and obviously Ragnarok. But it feels like, apart from setting up the team and the fact it's like it's his origin story, but you kind of got to forget about it.
Yeah, you have to ignore where
so we've introduced you to Hulk, but let's forget how. Here he is in the Avengers.
Yeah, and obviously they actually build up in the whole film that he's got to worry about his heart rate and it's got to not get too high and stuff. And then you look to the Avengers and they say that he's always angry. Well, that kind of goes against what we then found out in the film earlier on, right?
Yeah.
Little things like that don't work. And
yeah, you're right. You just sort of have to kind of forget about it.
Yeah, you have to, and just not count it as anything. I think I'm just going to ignore this film, and then the Hulk doesn't get introduced until that.
He just shows up one day. Yeah.
Yeah, he just shows up. He's just there one day. Yeah. Nobody knows anything about him. Has heard about him before or nothing. He's just there. Yeah.
Okay, right. So that's the Hulk done. Next time, you guys and anyone that's listening, your homework is to watch Thor, the God of Thunder.
Woo!
Because last time, at the end of Iron Man 2, we saw a hammer in New Mexico, and that weren't a hammer from Screwfix. No. That was from Asgard. And is Thor worthy? We'll find out next time. I'm looking forward to it because it's it was my favourite, but we'll find out on the second watching. Okay, cool. You looking forward to Thor?
Yes.
James?
Good. I mean, I always keep catching little bits of it, so it'd be nice to actually watch the whole thing the whole way through.
Yeah, because it's on telly quite a lot actually, and we always just watch like 5 or 10 minutes of it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the actual whole thing.
Okay.
There's bits I've forgotten.
It's a goodbye from me, Betty.
Bye.
Right, it's goodbye from me. Goodbye, guys.
Bye.